Hi, in this video I'm going to walk through how to set up SteamVR and Unity. So SteamVR is a plugin that interfaces with a variety of virtual reality devices. We will be using the HTC Vive to explore virtual reality experiences through Unity. So the first thing I need to do is look at the SteamVR plugin. So this is the Unity asset store, and it's full of all kinds of assets and things that you can download and include in video games and other types of immersive experiences you might be building. And this essentially interfaces with an HMD virtual reality device and the Unity 3D game engine. So to do this, I have Unity Hub set up here, and I have the latest version of Unity, which is 2019.4.20F1. So this is the latest LTS version, long-term support. And if you have a newer version, which is going to be 2020 right now, I believe this should work fine, but I tend to stick with the latest LTS version because most packages are only updated and supported usually to one less than the newest version. So just be aware if you have kind of the cutting edge version of 2020, something might have changed. So the way we will go about doing this is start a new project. So I'm going to say new and pick my version, and I'm just going to pick the 3D template and give this a name. I'll just say SteamVR project. And I'm going to go ahead and save this on the desktop. And click Create. And so what we want to do is, once we have our scene set up here, we want to configure it a little bit and include this plugin. And so while that's setting up, I'll point at the SteamVR application is sitting down here in the taskbar, and currently if I double click on it, it'll bring up the dashboard here, and if I toggle on my controllers, they'll wake up here, as will the headset, and it'll show up here in kind of a fuller color instead of a grayed out gradient once things are active. And so let's go back here to Unity and see where that's at. So it might take a few minutes to import the standard assets that it needs to set up a Unity project. So we just have to wait for a minute. Let's see here. I assume you watched the previous video about Steam and SteamVR. So if you did not watch that and you're confused by the SteamVR interface right here, go back and watch that video. Okay, so we have our scene set up here. So it's just a really basic Unity scene. There's nothing really in it except for a camera and a light. And if I hit play, it shows the typical empty world. I'm going to go ahead and move this over a little bit. So what we want to do is go here to the asset store. And this can be done in the Unity editor here, or it could be done over here in the browser. If you do this in the browser, you want to be sure you're signed in here. And so I'm going to minimize that. So I'm in the asset store here, and I am signed in right here. So you want to be sure you're signed in because it connects the things you download to your account. So if I search for SteamVR, it should come up here, SteamVR plugin. And I'll make this bigger. So if you have not downloaded it yet, it will show up as needing to be downloaded right here. And so since I have already previously downloaded it, I'll click import. And so this menu pops up, and what this is showing is all the different assets that are part of this plugin. It shows them fully expanded here, and you can include everything at first, and as you get more interested in or involved in the SteamVR plugin and you need specific things from it, you can check or uncheck different boxes here. So I'm just going to leave everything checked, and we'll click import. And this will include it down here in my assets folder once it finishes importing. And just to note, setting up the SteamVR plugin is really only possible on a Windows machine, given the state of hardware and compatibility with Apple devices and virtual reality HMDs like the HTC Vive. This is why we have Windows-based laptops at the studio that are capable of VR experiences, and not Macintosh machines, Apple machines. So it's kind of just where things are at this point. In another video, I will walk through setting up a scene and sort of simulating the functionality of the SteamVR camera, player camera, and using one of Unity's standard assets. So, okay, so when this comes up, you want to go ahead and click Unity XR. So this is sort of the forward-thinking API that's happening. So I'll click Unity XR. And like most of these things, they're sort of always in flux a little bit, and sometimes things work as they should, and sometimes things change quickly. So I can see this plugin was updated January 11th, so I think we're fine, but we'll see here. Okay, and then I'll say accept all on this menu. So what this screen behind here is showing for the project settings is a couple other HMDs that are compatible. So HTC Vive is using the OpenVR loader, and if we had an Oculus or a Magic Leap device, we would click those boxes too, or a Windows device. So we'll just wait for that to finish importing. Okay, so I made the right choice. Click OK. So that's all we need to do there. Okay, go back to our scene. And so now we see down here in the assets, we have some new folders. So our basic scene, which is this scene that we get, our sample scene is here. And then under SteamVR, we will find all of our different things. So if I go and look under our interaction system, we can see, let's see, some different samples. See here, input. So there's interaction system, materials, models, plugins, prefabs, resources, scripts, textures, and these are the same things that it shows right here. So under package content, it will show the different folders that are in the assets and the size. So you should see the same thing there as is over here. And so let's go back here. Okay, so what we need to add here is our player prefab. So I'm going to drag that and drop it in here. And so our player is going to essentially replace our camera, so our main camera. So we can delete it or just turn it off. So I'll just toggle it off right here. So player. And what we need to do to make this functional sort of world where we can see things is let's put a cube in here, and let's also drop a plane in here. And so the cube, I'm going to move it up a little bit so it's sort of above the ground, and oops, so put it there. This will be 0.5. Or no, this will be 0.5, and this will be maybe right about there. And we can make this larger like that. So we have a cube, we have our player controller right here, and if we dig down into this, we have other objects that represent things like the hands and the controllers and the head and different parts of the Steam system. But this is if you want just a basic setup. So if I click play, what we should see is, let's check our console and make sure there's no errors. Oh, let's see here. So we actually need to finish setting up. So let's click that. So let's see, yes. So what happens is you get a prompt the first time you run a SteamVR application set up this way. Let's see, save. And it will actually ask you to set up the SteamVR input system. So you just say save and generate when it asks you to pop this up. And it should create it. And I'll say OK. So player start. There we go. And then what we should see is if I'm holding the HMD currently, and if I'm picking up one of the controllers and turning it on, and what I should see are a couple of hands. So I'm squeezing the trigger, pushing, touching the thumb button. And so by default, you basically get control over some hands, floating hands. Which can interact with objects out of the box. But the point is, it's pretty straightforward to just set up a scene that you can walk around in. And so if I go over here to SteamVR and check out the display view, I should see the same thing here. And so if I was playing this on a second screen, or if I dock this on my SteamVR panel here, it should show the same thing. And so let's just minimize that. It'll show the same thing as what shows up in the game preview here, the game view inside of Unity. just from playing it. So with that, let's see, if I move this player object around a little bit and hit play, I should start further back from the cube now. And so we can see I have indeed started further back. And if I was to walk forward and walk around, then I would get to this object and I could walk around it in physical space. So that's a quick intro to setting up a basic scene. So I'll file save. Basic scene in Unity with the player controller. And if I wanted to make this not VR ready application, I would just disable my player and I could turn my main camera back on. And if I hit play, then my main camera will show its view again, and I will no longer have a VR capable scene. So click that. Just to repeat it, go back here, toggle on the player object, turn off the main camera, and hit play, and I have a VR scene again, where I can see my hands as hands instead of controllers, and I can walk around my 3D world here. So in the next video, we'll continue this example, and I'll walk through how to include other functionalities like teleportation and interacting with game objects.